My name is Queen Elizabeth. I was born on September 7th, 1533 at Greenwich, England. I was only 30 when my dad accused my mom of a crime she did not commit, and she was sentenced to death. When my stepmom had a son, I meant nothing to my dad, and I was sent away to live with my uncle. I loved to read, and they said I was a quick learner. Then I was 13, my father died, and my brother became king. 6 years later, he died, and my older sister Mary became queen. The people did not like her. They called her Bloody Mary. She feared me and had me thrown in jail. In 1559, at 25 years old, my sister died, and I was announced queen. In 1562, I got smallpox, and guess what? There was no cure. But I got better, quick, and no one knows why. In 1588, my people were at war, and my advisors didn't want me anywhere near the battle. But I didn't listen. I rode where the soldiers made camp, and I told them I was there to live or die with them. I ruled England for 41 years. On November 7th, 1601, I gave my last speech. Later in life, I became depressed, and I would stay all day in my bedroom. My health grew worse, and on March 24th, early in the morning, I died. Even though as a young girl I was pushed away by my father, I grew up to be one of England's greatest rulers.
Hey, my name is Robert E. Lee. I was born on January 19, 1807 in Westmoreland, Virginia. My father was Henry Lee and Annie Hill Carter was my mother. Henry was the governor of Virginia, and we lived in a plantation home. I was always a good student in school. My mother couldn't afford to send me to college, so I decided to become a soldier. I went to military school at West Point Military Army Academy. In New York, I met my wife, Mary Ann. While I was in military school, we moved to Fort McMurray, Virginia, where I worked as an engineer. We had 7 children. I was away from my family a lot due to being in the Army. On April 22nd, 1861, I left home for Richmond to lead Virginia's Army and Navy for war. I led men through great battles. We all know the Battle of Fort Sumter, the Battle of the Bull Run, and the Battle of Gettysburg. I decided to surrender and put an end to the Civil War so me and my men could go home. In my last days, I was president of Washington College in Lexington, Virginia. I encouraged students there until my final days. I grew sick and died on October 12, 1870.
My name is Annie Oakley. I was born on August 13th, 1860. My real name is Penelope Phoebe and Mosey. My parents were cricker, but my father passed away when I was only 5 years old. After my father's death, my family was poor, so I was sent to Drake County Infirmary at the age of 9. I was taught to sew and decorate while there in the spring of 1870. I was hired to live in a house to help take care of their son. They promised me to pay me 5 cents, 50 cents a day, and allow me to continue my education. That this didn't happen, and they abused me instead of keeping their promise. I called them the Wolves for the way they treated me. At the age of 13 or 14, I returned home and learned how to shoot my father's old rifle. I started hunting and selling the games to support my family. My skills with the rifle paid off when I was invited to shoot in a competition where I met my future husband, Franklin Butler, and I beat him. We were married but didn't have any children. We instead joined the Sales Brothers Circus and became an act together. We stayed with the circus for 4 years and joined the Buffalo Bills Wild West Show. Sitting Bull came to the show to see me shoot, and when we met, he gave me the nickname Little Sure Shot. We went to Paris with the show where I met the king and queens. In 1892, we returned to the U.S. and made our home in Nutley, New Jersey. We began performing for shoot so they could perform them. We began performing for the armed service. While there, I left the Wild Bill Show in 1902 and began teaching women to shoot so they could protect themselves. In 1904, the newspaper ran a story that I had a drug problem and was drunk. I spent a lot of money to prove them wrong because I wanted to keep my good name. In 1917, I moved to North Carolina and started performing again. I was shooting at Clay
name is Daniel Boone, and I was born on November 2nd, 1734 in Berks County in Pennsylvania. I was a pioneer woodsman and the maker of the Wilderness Trail. I hated being indoors. When I was a kid, my parents told us not to go outside. We would get sick. Me and my sister went anyway. I got sick and had to stay indoors. When I got older, I got a gun and named it Tick Licker. When I grew up, I went on a big hunt. I ran into Indians with my cousin, and they told us not to come back. But we did. They captured us, but I got out, and my cousin didn't. When I got back, we moved to North Carolina. I got married on August 14, 1756 to Rebecca Boone. I got older and went on another long hunt, and I was dying. I found Nathan Boone's house in St. Charles County, Missouri, and died on September 26, 1820, at the age of 85.
I am Alexander Graham Bell. On March 3rd, 1847, in Edinburgh, Scotland, I was born. As a kid, I collected plants, rocks, and animal skeletons. When I was 11, I picked my own middle name. I chose Graham. Now I was Alexander Graham Bell. I got married on July 11th, 1877 to Maple Hunter. On July 4th, 1876, America was 100. A festival in Pennsylvania. Almost 100 people met. 10 million people came. The Emperor of Brazil came to my king. I received a gold medal for writing electronic invention. I went to London. Queen Victoria invited me to show my invention. My telephone wires were costing me money fast. I had a goal on May 8th, 1878. The President Garfield was shocked by a bullet. I also lost another life. It was my own son. He came too early. I was heartbroken. I invented a breathing machine called the Iron Lung. I thought people could fly like birds. I was experimenting with kites. We are too heavy for kites. The Wright brothers invented this airplane. My motto was, keep on fighting. On August 2nd, 1922, I died at the age of 75 years old.
Hi, my name is George Washington. I was born on February 22nd, 1732, Westmoreland County, Virginia. As a kid, I lived at Ferry Farm near Fredericksburg. When I was 11, my dad, Augustine, passed away. I went to live with my older half-brother Lawrence. Lawrence had inherited land along the Potomac River that he called Mount Vernon. I taught myself how to survey land and acquire my wealth by doing jobs for wealthy landowners. When my brother Lawrence died, his wife sold me Mount Vernon when I was 20 years old. I became a leader of the Virginia militia in the French and Indian War. During the Revolutionary War, I was a delegate to the Continental Congress, was unanimously appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Army. I was unanimously elected president by the Electoral College in the first two national elections. I was not only considered as the most athletic of all the founding fathers, but also one of the greatest horseback riders in my time. My personal horse was a white horse named Nelson. I was known to ride Nelson into all of the states when I visited. I established the character and standard of what an American president should embody. I served my country with honesty, integrity, and dignity. I passed away after serving as president for 8 years. I passed away 2 years later on December 14, 1799 in Mount Vernon, Virginia.
Hi, my name is Blackbeard. I was born in Bristol, England in the year of 1680. My education as a child was helping sailors clean and navigate their ships. During 1713, I bought my own ship and crew. I decided to name my ship Queen Anne's Revenge. And after that, I had officially became a pirate. During 1717, me and my crew raided many ships and stole their loot and their food. During 1718, I did something no pirate has done before. I blockaded the entire port of Charleston so no other ships could get to the port after I blockaded the port. I became wanted dead or alive so they could bring me to justice. During 1778, Robert Maynard's men had found me. Immediately, Maynard's men attacked my ship. After 2 hours of fighting, Maynard's men had took my men hostage, and it was just me and Maynard. Maynard shot me 5 times and stabbed me 20 times with a sword. Then after that, I was done for. I died on November 22nd, 1778. After I died, I was remembered for being the most fierce pirate of my time.
Hello, my name is Sacagawea. I was born in what is now Idaho. As I was about 4 or 5, my tribe lived in the Rocky Mountains, and for food we shot buffalo and other kind of meat. In 1800s, my tribe was attacked and I was captured and traded to a man from Canada. I became his wife. Later, we were asked to help lead Lewis and Clark through the wilderness to explore new land. On February 11th, 1805, while exploring, I had a baby. It was a boy. I named it Pomp. One time while exploring, a gust of wind blew over our boat and we were going to lose all of our supplies, but I was able to save them and we were able to complete our expedition. On the morning of August 13, 1805, I came home from my trip. The explorers spent several days with the Shoshone tribe. After being home for a while, Clark wanted me and my family to come and live in St. Louis. We lived there for 5 months, but my husband grew restless and the next spring took me on a fur trading trip. On the trip, I gave birth to a daughter I named Lucidia. I got a fever after giving birth and died. Clark ended up raising both of my children. I will forever be remembered for helping the explorers on the journey to the sea.
Hello, my name is Abraham Lincoln. I was born February 12, 1809 in a crude log cabin in Kentucky. I was the 16th President of the United States of America. The cabin was very small. It had a dirt floor and no windows. I was the president during the Civil War between the North and the South. I didn't want the South to leave the Union. When I was 7 years old, me and my parents moved to a small farm in Illinois. It's a free state that had no slavery. I worked on the farm plowing and harvesting. I didn't hunt because I hated killing things. My mom died when I was 9 years old, and my dad couldn't take care of me and my sister on his own. We had to move back to Kentucky, and my dad remarried. I loved my stepmother Sarah very much. In Indiana, I sometimes went to a blab school. A blab school is where all the students say their lessons out loud, and the schoolmaster picked out mistakes. I wanted to be the Whig candidate for the United States House of Representatives. I was not chosen, but still I worked very hard to get my rival elected. My plan had worked. In 1846, Abraham Lincoln was elected as a representative from Illinois. For 6 years, I concentrated on my law practice in Springfield. In 1854, I decided to run for Senate after my famous speech. I was close but was not elected. I challenged Douglas for a seat in the Senate. He did not accept. And once again I asked Douglas to debate me. Douglas had accepted. I had lost the election again. But later the Republican Party chose me. Because the Democratic Party was divided between two candidates, I won more votes than any other candidate. I was now the President of the United States of America. I was later shot by John Wilkes Booth on April 14, 1865, while watching a play. I didn't die immediately. I was carried to a small house the next morning. At 7:22 the next morning, I died. I was 56 years old.
Hi, my name is Helen Keller. I was born June 27, 1880 in Tuscumbia, Alabama. My parents' names were Captain Keller and Kate Keller. As a child, I was very smart, but when I was 2, I became sick with a high fever. This fever caused me to be blind and deaf. I grew up not being able to see, hear, or speak. The only way that I could communicate with my family was making up signals that only they could understand. My family had pity on me because of my sickness, which caused me to have anger issues. By the time I was 5, I could do chores, had developed a sense of humor, and loved playing tricks on my family. One day, my family took me to the eye doctor to see a man named Alexander Graham Bell. He recommended that I go to a special school called Perkins. Instead of going to school, they agreed to send me a teacher named Amy Sullivan. Amy arrived when I was 6. She started teaching me by placing objects in my hand, then spelling the word in my palm. I did not understand, but later caught on. Amy and I moved to our own house, and there she taught me how to eat, manners, and the meaning of words. She also taught me how to read special books for the blind called Braille. People began to notice how well I was doing for a blind and deaf girl. They put me in many newspapers. A few years later, my teacher and I moved to Boston to Perkins School. Even though I wasn't enrolled, I began to learn about many subjects and the world around me. When I was 14, me and Amy moved to New York to go to Wright Hudson School so I could learn how to speak. There, I learned the form of lip reading and speech. Years later, I was accepted to Radcliffe University. College was very hard. I struggled to keep up. The second year I was there, I began to write stories, and a magazine found out and started publishing my work. Because of my stories, we met an editor named John Macy. He thought that all of my stories should be put together to make a book. My book, The Story of My Life, was a hit. I graduated June 1904 with honors from Radcliffe. Amy married
married John Macy, and I lived with them after graduation. In 1908, my second book, The World I Live In, was published. In 1924, I became an ambassador for the blind. I later went on to write Midstream and Teacher. I died June 1st, 1968. I was nearly 88 years old. I inspired millions and still do to this day.